My name's Helen Plumridge. I have been in recruitment for about 20 years, but I've had my own business, King Recruit, for the last 6 years. We're a leading recruitment and search business based in the Southwest region. Got a growing team of about around the 6 mark. I absolutely love the industry, and regardless of what the market conditions are like, I think, you know, having been in it for so long makes you really, really resilient to it. So,
oh my gosh, running a business, there's so many things to do, and we've got lots of plates spinning. And I think we've also got the personal plate spinning as well, kids and home life and keeping yourselves fit. How do you manage to keep all those plates spinning? Do you have certain strategies that you use?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do read a lot and listen to podcasts and all of that. I've done the Tony Robbins thing, but I think from that I'm very much about being as productive as I can be in the time that I've got. I'm very much a planner, never used to be, but I think with kids and husband, and he's got his own business as well, and, you know, managing a team, leading a team, being effective, I think you've got to be planned and organised and think ahead. And that's my number one sort of golden rule, really. You know, Sunday night, 2 hours, plan your week out, that type of thing. Keep that structure. Obviously, you can flow with it and be flexible, but I think then you get the most out of your time, and I think that's really how I spin the plates.
Yeah. That's brilliant. And actually, I had a meeting with someone else yesterday, and they spoke exactly the same thing about the time scheduling is so important. So that's coming out loud and clear. Great thing about doing these interviews is I am sort of noting down, right, yes, I'll make sure to do that as well. So I mean, well-being, you know, we've talked about well-being a few times now. What kind of things are you doing within the team to ensure you're looking after your team's well-being, as well as maybe conversations you're having with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really topical. It's about time, isn't it, that we're very much focusing on this, and especially after COVID, etc. So I think for us, we're a more mature team. We've got kids, we've got families, we live in the Southwest. So I think the focal point is very much, it's a cliche, but work-life balance. We don't work all the hours God sends. We do our hours, we're productive, and then we go home to family, etc. So I think it's really understanding that, and it's having that flexibility in that, and I encourage that. I think being female as well, being a female leader, it's about being sort of supportive and empathetic, and knowing when someone might be having a bad day and things like that. So I'm always sort of really hot on that if I feel that someone's sort of maybe off, and I think we're really an honest, open. I encourage an open, honest culture, so people feel that they can talk about it if they need to. We're on a beautiful site now as well, with lots of green space and a gym and a swimming pool and things like that. So
nice. The location is good as well. What about you then? So finally, this is obviously about CEO self-care, and I think what I'd love is for us to be able to share some hints and tips that other people potentially could use as well. So how do you manage your own self-care?
My number one is if I'm not exercising, then I am out of balance, I'm out of kilter. So for me, I suppose I could sum everything up I do with about having balance. Yes. And as soon as that balance isn't there and you're not doing one element of it, I find that everything sort of can unspin.
Yes.
And it, and sometimes you might not be feeling well, so you might have a week where you don't exercise, and then you feel, oh God, I feel like something's dropped over here. So I just know now that I need to. That's my number one priority is doing weights and running, and I know you're a keen runner. Saying no as well. So again, I've got to an age where I don't have to be at every social circle or event or things. Like probably the other way now, where I don't go to a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I prioritise my exercise and then family and all that above it. So I think that's important.
That's no bad thing, is it? You know, that is part of looking after your self-care, is that prioritisation, isn't it, of what's important versus do I really have to be there? Yeah.
Yeah, was it called JOMO, joy of missing out? That's what I got. Joy of missing out. Yes, I'm not going to that. Thank God. Thank God I don't have to go to that. So and you know, I do a lot of sort of, you know, I do the meditative practice, fresh air. It's really, really important. So I walk every day, guaranteed, when I'm working all day. You know, reading, stretching, all of that sort of thing. Me and my husband do a monthly. We'll try and do a monthly where we go off and have a spa day.
Yeah, nice.
So that's great for the reconnection, isn't it?
Yeah.
And time together. Yeah. And even if you feel you don't need it, actually you probably do, because you're storing up.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of keeping. That's the whole point of well-being. It's not about kind of getting to a real low and then going, oh, I need to look after myself. It's actually more about maintenance and what you do, all the little things you put in. Yeah. I also do, I mean, I could bore you to death on this, Jenny. I also have green smoothies every day with something called Athletic Greens.
Oh, right.
It's from New Zealand. It's got everything in it. It's really expensive, but I would rather have that every day instead of a coffee. Buy a coffee. So I have that, and I also swear by Bone Broth. Yeah. So I've just started doing it again. I wasn't doing it in summer. It's more of a winter thing, but Bone Broth is just so good for you. So I don't know if you've ever had that before.
I haven't, but I'll look into that.
Yeah.
So do you have that every day?
I try to in the week. Yeah. So you basically, you just, you know, if you're having a roast on Sunday, you just boil up your carcass with all the veg in the slow cooker overnight. Yeah. You drain it, and then you've got it's just broth. It's just really thin broth, and then you keep it in the fridge, and you have a cup of it every day.
Fantastic.
It's got loads of amino acids, and it's got lots of collagen, and it's really good for brain health, bone health, loads of nutrients. So yeah,
fantastic. And do you find that because it's, I think we sometimes don't make the time for our self-care, but you said a really good point there around you don't necessarily have to hit low before you do something about it. So do you find, are you scheduling all of these things in when you're planning your days on the Sunday, for example? Is that incorporated into your timeline?
It's I feel for me it's a habit, so it's ingrained, and it's up there in my top, you know, 3. So I don't feel like I have to think about it, because it's just something I do. Rather, I know a lot of people, when they're trying to get into this, they feel like, oh God, you know, I've got to think about that. But for me, I've just always done it, so it's I don't
reading a book about tiny habits and how, and you know, it sort of doing something in small chunks makes it much more likely to become a habit. So actually taking some of those hints and maybe smaller ones, you know, smaller walks or whatever could make it become a habit, because I think that's what you want, isn't it? Is to become I have to get out for my run first before I get on with my emails. And
also for me, because I've done all the sort of the Tony Robbins thing, is thinking about why you're doing it. So I always think, well, if I instead of going, oh, I can't fit my run in, I always say, well, I'm doing it because I will feel 10 times better afterwards. Yeah. I'll have my fresh air sorted. I won't feel guilty about sitting down in front of a computer all day. And you know, it keeps me fit. You know, all those reasons why you're doing it, and I think that's important as well, to think, why am I doing this, rather than think of it. Yeah, rather than thinking of it, oh, I've got to fit it in, or it's a chore. I often use that, and I know you're doing, you know, you have been non-alcoholic for quite a long time. That I think as well, it's a really good reason to think, I'm not going to have a drink on a Saturday night because I will get up tomorrow morning and do my run. That's why I'm not drinking. Getting up tomorrow to have my run, and I will feel absolutely amazing for that.
So I love that.
I
love that. So the why. So fantastic. So I think there's a load of good stuff there. You know, the time scheduling, again, I think that's so important to manage our week, but making sure we're scheduling in the self-care when we don't probably feel like we don't need it, actually, because it will prevent us from getting to a place where we absolutely do. In a way, really, isn't it? It's prioritizing that.
You know, actually just picking up on that sort of no alcohol thing. And I think, you know, again, you could, you know, in terms of the sort of age scenario, I think it's really important to sort of think now in your sort of, you know, 40s, early 50s as a woman, there's so much going on for you at this age, isn't there, that actually thinking about reducing what you're drinking and actually thinking of the benefits of how it will then interplay with, you know, hormones, good sleep, and you know, if you want to be productive in your life, you've got to it's not even a sacrifice, actually. What's it going to cost you if you do go out and drink a load at the weekend? Actually, it's going to cost you, it's costing you more.
Definitely. You know, well, for me, giving up alcohol has been life-changing. It actually has been life-changing. And yes, you know, it's not difficult to go out for a run on a Sunday morning anymore, you know, and that's one of the big things for me. But there is so many others. If
well-being is really important to you, then doing something like vastly reducing what you drink or giving up alcohol will help you with all the rest of it.
Exactly, it's a win-win. Exactly. Helen, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's brilliant. Going in to look into the bone broth now, and and the juice. What was the juice called again? Remind me. Athletic Greens. Brilliant. Thank you very, very much. I will be sharing this, and I'm sure some people will be in touch to find out more. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jenny.